Hi everybody. Please excuse my hair. I'm trying to like look cute in this light and stuff. And I'm looking a little frizzy but anyways, it's aside from the point. Just wanted to say hi. I know it's been a while since I've last posted as usual, because I be going into my modes where I'm just internally, like, I have to go through stuff privately and then I can come out and share it and speak. I have to gain wisdom and knowledge and go through certain seasons and processes before I can just up and speak. I always want to be led when I share. I want to just get on here and drop videos just to drop them. I want them to be meaningful, and I'm definitely learning to be more open and just vocal, and more confident in what I'm aware of and sharing that with each of you. So today I just want to encourage you guys in regards to when you're chosen and when you accept that spiritual journey in the path. There's different levels, and God, all the time, whether you want to call him God or the source of creation, we can say, is in the details, right? It's not just like for a religious purpose. Religion is madness, but like the source of creation and the higher power, our source of creation, is within the details of our lives. And so often, because we're born into this system and we're born into this world where we're taught and we're conditioned not to kind of like rely on God for everything, but to rather like for certain aspects of our life, it's like we kind of just automatically assume and believe like there is no way like that God is within certain situations or in the details, and there's no way that like certain miracles should be performed, or like just in, I don't know how to describe, but it's like say when it comes to just regular life, everybody works so that they can make it, so that they can survive. Everybody relies on a system in this world where if you don't work, you can't have shelter, you can't have food, just all that type of stuff, right? And it's like we condition ourselves that we have to lean on those things, on working 9 to 5s, we have to lean on like hustling just to make it. We have to lean on money, and money is a resource, but God is worth more than all of that. And so to depend on God is a provider. So to depend on God in a way that's different from the world's way, it can be taboo and ridiculous, right? When God tells you to quit your job, and now you don't know how you're going to pay your rent. Now you don't know how you're going to take care of yourself, pretty much. But God tells you to quit your job and you're obedient. And then there's folks in the world, which opinions don't matter at this point, right? Especially when you're following God. The world will not understand, or just like a worldly mindset in like a way that's like everything is based on the physical, just like you have to do this in order to survive, or like you're just ridiculous, or you're silly for not working a 9 to 5, for not going with the system, the flow, of everybody else, of the world, right? But you decide and make the decision to go with the flow of God and be led spiritually rather than be led by the world, right? So when you're led spiritually, it's a lot different. You operate different than how you would normally operate in a worldly sense. And I want to say, like, when it comes to that, even though it doesn't make sense to other people, still it's like it makes sense to you, because God is the one that's leading you and directing you, and it's not for no reason, you know. Even though we get worried, we get concerned and all these things, it's kind of like just follow, like instead of submitting to the world's way, when you submit to God's way, it's a different way of operating, as I mentioned. And God takes his time, and or he'll, you never know. God just is on a different type of like operation, I guess, like than how the world is. Not I guess, but it's true. And so when you follow God, you move differently. You do things that are considered abnormal, but it's not abnormal when you're under God's rule, or you're doing things God's way, right? And so with that, it's like being strong in that. And it can be difficult, especially when there's naysayers and people who are unbelievers, or who don't understand or understand this spirituality aspect and how that plays a role into life. And so I know, like, I try not to be so spiritual, but then again, it's like when God takes me to certain levels, every level that you get to, God requires you to trust in him a little more. And me, myself, as a person who's experienced the things that I have experienced, my experiences cause for me to have trust issues, even with God. So each level that I've obtained or gotten to, pretty much, it's like each level has always required me to give God a little more of my trust, you know, like a chunk more of my trust. And so when God starts instructing you to do big things, it's like it's a test of how you trust him, of how much you trust him, of how much faith that you have. And it really builds your strength and your endurance. And when God asks you to do it, just take a leap of faith. Because what started for myself, just speaking on my own experience, my journey, when I started this path of being like spiritually led by God, not religious, but just me, God, and my belief in Jesus Christ, or Yeshua, Yahweh, you know, just following that, it's like it took me taking a leap of faith. And I remember the day that I made that decision was when I was in an airport, like years ago. I was on my way back home from visiting some family members out of state, and I remember I was watching this video of Sadhguru, and he said that when it comes to that journey and that path, it's like when you make that decision, it's either you take the leap, you trust, or you die. It sounds vulgar, but it's real. It's like you either trust or you die. And with that like being said, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna do this because I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to be left for dead, right? In that way, I want to see this out and see how this will go for me. And so from the beginning to where I'm at right now, and to where I'm going, just like how God will guide you out of the wilderness season into your, into what he promised you. And God will give you a vision too. He will give you a vision and some insight on where he intends for you to be, like, or the promised land, and what he has for you, right? Because first there's a processing. God will process you. He will call you and he will qualify you, and in that qualifying, it's a processing, and then he'll give you the promised land, because he can trust you with that type of power. He could trust you with certain influence, and he can use you in a way to also help other people. So it's like a win-win situation, right? With the promise. But in the beginning, God will process you though, and through that process how like folks will say, like the wilderness season, when you're going through things or you're being processed or taken to your promise, right? It's levels that you obtain. It's like stair steps, and each step that you take forward, it requires trust. Like God will require more trust out of you, to not trust in the world's way, and to not trust in your way, but to trust in God's way, right? So like when I started that journey, I had to let go of fear. I had to let go of certain like beliefs, and it's like a step-by-step thing. And how I'm trying to describe is it's like I say, like you take that leap of faith. It's either you trust or you get left behind. And it's like, why not see it through? Why not see through and build your patience, build your faith, build your trust in God, right? And when you do that and you see it through, God will show up and he will provide. And it kind of like programs you to believe in God for the biggest things, you know? Because I've been in positions and situations where I was like it was a miracle. God has performed miracles in my life, okay? In every regard, financially, in every regard. God has performed miracles in my world, and he's taken care of me. In the Bible, it says that if your mother and your father forsake you or they leave you, then God will take you under his wing, and basically God will become your parent, and he will become your provider and your protector. And so it's like believing in that and knowing that, you know, but it's like not in the world's way. It's in his way, in his timing. But not to say that it will take forever, but it's more so of just like, okay, so God asked, like, okay, so say God asked you to quit your job, right? And you're like, God, why would you ask me to quit my job? And that's just going to lead me to be in a low place, right? And I saw this video online. It was like that was like the whole scenario. It's like the guy, he lost his job, he lost his friends, he lost his lover, and everything was just like going whatever, awry. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's like he was like it was like Jesus was speaking to him, and Jesus said, I don't know, he was like, why are you like trying to fight? Because like the man was like trying to hold on to everything, and he was trying to save himself from like eviction. He was trying to save himself and just keep what was being taken from him, pretty much. And it was like God or Jesus was speaking to him. He was like, why are you fighting when I'm the one who's doing this to you? I'm the one who's, you know, putting you through this, right? Not to say God is a meanie or whatever, but it's like, he's like, why are you trying to fight this when I'm the one taking you through this situation, right? And it's like, okay, that comes the part where, all right, I have to surrender. And then there's like the other aspect of it, of like, okay, if this is all ordained by God, and I understand, I have the inner wisdom of the fact that he made a promise, and that in his word, God can't go back on his word, and he promised me this particular way, this life, you know. I understand that at the end of this journey, I know I'm gonna be good. I know that God don't want me out here or whatever in a certain way, and that whatever happens, it's happening for me, not to me. It's happening for the betterment of myself, whether that be character development or whatever else. But it's like all that stuff happens for a reason, and knowing that, it's like going on a journey, it's a little easier to trust in God when you have the understanding that in the end, when you reach the promise, is like that is for you, and that's the result, that you're gonna be fine regardless of the path that it takes to get to that, you know. So if it's a season where God is asking you to quit your job, listen to God, okay? Listen to him and see it through, because that means maybe you're relying on yourself too much to provide for yourself. You're relying on yourself too much to trust in yourself. And God wants you to trust in him, in him providing for you, because he's your father and you're not in this alone. And God wants to show you that you're not in this alone. So he will make you sit down. God will sit you down and he will show you, like, I'm God, I could take care of you. Just see it through. See it through. And the worst that can happen, there is no worst that can happen, okay? Because God's gonna get you through it. You know, even what through what the world considers as that it's bad, just because, you know, you go through certain struggles. Like, say if you are facing like being kicked out of your home or losing your vehicle or anything like that, like you face certain hardships, you're still alive after that, right? You still have breath in your body, you're still breathing, you're still here. So it's like, it's just because you take a loss doesn't mean that that's the end. It doesn't mean that that's like the end all be all. And if that happens, you're still here, you're still alive, you could still win, you know? So it's like knowing that it's not, that's not the end, you know, and that you still have it in you, and God is ordaining that your end result is for you to prosper, that your portion in this life is to be free and to have freedom to live the life that you so desire, that God willed for you, right? So with that in mind, if God is asking you to let go of something or to do something, just see it through and watch how he works in your life, you know. And it emotionally can do things to you, and it can be really scary too. But I want to challenge you guys to just see it through and watch how God will move in your life. And I assure you that he will come through, because it's in his word for him to always come through. So with that, I love you guys, and I thank you all for watching my videos, and I love the fact that you all are very patient with me in my growth and in my journey of just opening up about my relationship with God. And I just know that this is our season. So now is the time more than ever to just leap into the arms of God and just allow for him to take care of you, because we're his children. Just because we're adults in this world, that don't mean we're still not children of God, okay? That God forever protects us, and he covers us, and he provides for us. So with that said, I love you, and I hope you guys have a really lovely day. Stay prayed up, and yeah, I just speak the anointing of God and the favor of God just falls over every single one of you, and that he heals you, he cleanses you, he frees you, he aligns you, and he just does everything in your life that is needed in this moment, in this time, and just divinely aligns you to be a winner, because you already are a winner and you've already won. So I love you guys, and I hope you have a good one.